What's up, everyone? I'm back with another review. This is of the ZiiGaat Cinno, if I'm pronouncing it correctly. So here it is. This is a 4BA 1DD unit. One dynamic driver, 4 BAs. So yeah, this is an interesting set. I did look at the frequency graph. Basically, this has not too much of an upper mid-range, a good amount of mid-bass, a little bit of sub-bass, and then the treble extension. You can't really see it on the graph, but you kind of can, maybe. So first, let's start off with the build. Pretty standard build. You have your two shells. It's decent. There's not much to complain about. The cable, it's also pretty average. Nothing spectacular. So yeah, pretty simple. Just a simple cable, simple design with the branding. So without further ado, let's talk about the sound quality. So let's start talking about the bass. So I did expect the bass to be a little better on this earphone, because I'm not hearing a good sub-bass punch. It doesn't really sound dynamic. It sounds like it's not reaching the really low bass. It's kind of like cut off in the bass. So I do wish the bass was a little better. It just doesn't really have like a punch or a slam, where I've heard balanced armatures that have way better bass than this. So maybe they could upgrade the driver they're using, because I have heard similarly tuned sets like this in the bass, and they definitely didn't sound as bad as this, or it sounded better basically. So yeah, bass, I would say it's like middle of the road. It's just okay. It's not really anything spectacular. It could use a lot of extension. So basically, I was listening to one of my favorite tracks to test bass out by Pierre Bourne. Hulu by Pierre Bourne. So in that track, there's a lot of bass, sub-bass, and it just didn't come across all the way on this. It sounded slightly muted, lacking depth in the bass. It just sounded kind of one note. And weirdly, it kind of sounds like a balanced armature in the bass, so I'm not sure how that happened. And the mid bass is really warm. It's not really harsh at all. This adds, so basically for this IEM in particular, what the mid bass does is it adds a lot of warmth to the whole frequency spectrum. So let's talk about like the upper mid-range and vocals. So male vocals, they don't have like a body at all. They just sound slightly thin, not forward, too warm, almost like blurry, like you're watching TV on a 480p screen or a 720p. It just sounds blurry. And then female vocals, they lack an edge, that force, that clarity. It's just not there with this. And it just sounds kind of muted. So yeah, that's how the bass and the upper mid-range sound. And now the treble. The treble sounds pretty rolled off on this. I do wish there was a little bit more air. It sounds too warm. I'm not getting a lot of clarity at all. I tried out a bunch of different tracks, and they all kind of sounded warm to me, every single track. And I listened to almost the same tracks for every IEM I test, like my reference tracks. They're all movie soundtracks, so they have some of the best engineers, the best composers, everything. So with those tracks, like orchestras and everything, it kind of sounded cluttered without a clear sense of like layering and imaging. And then the soundstage also takes a hit because of that. because there's no sparkle in the treble. Everything kind of feels more closed in. So I definitely do wish the bass was a little bit better, had more of a punch and a slam, and then I wish the treble wasn't rolled off, because this could have been a really good IEM if they maybe tuned it a little better. And actually, just by looking at the frequency response, it didn't look like it would sound like this. So I would say it sounds a little worse than it looks on the graphs. So who is this set for? So if you're someone like me who likes a lot of like clarity, a lot of like vocal presence and well-controlled and tight bass, this is probably not for you. But if you like listening at higher volumes, let's say you like cranking your IEMs up, I think this would be good for that, because the bass isn't going to be that present and the treble is pretty rolled off, so you could crank this thing up. And the vocals are also recessed, so if you like listening at higher volumes and you like a warm profile, like this is a really, really safe IEM. Like, I don't think anyone would have a complaint of it like being harsh or too glary or fatiguing. It's none of those things. So yeah, and then I would say, which genre does this work the best for? I would say if an IEM sounds good with one genre, it should sound good with any genre. So I don't believe in any of that genre things. Like, yeah, I mean, depends. Like, if you listen to a lot of bass, you might want a particular set. But overall, doesn't matter. It more so matters on how well the track's recorded and the tuning than anything else. So yeah, these are the Cinno. So would I recommend it? I would say I would skip this one. Personally, it's not that good. It's not something I would buy. But if you do listen at loud volumes and you want a warm set, maybe this could be a good alternative. And this isn't really Harman tuned. It has a lot of variations with like having more mid bass, the trebles rolled off, and then the upper mids aren't that forward. So yeah, so overall, like, this IEM doesn't really sound dynamic. Where if you saw my last video, I reviewed like a wireless earbud, the Soundpeats. That had more of a dynamic sound than these. And that's kind of surprising because this is a 1 DD and 4 BA unit. So I'm not sure what the BAs and the DD is doing in these. But yeah, so overall, I'd give this IEM a 3 out of 5. It's just average to me. Nothing really stood out to me that wowed me. So if they want to improve, basically make sure you tweak the bass a little better. Maybe use a better driver. So I get that punch and slam and that rumble in the sub bass. And then maybe fix the mid bass up a bit. And then the upper mid range, maybe use a better driver, tune it better. And same thing with the treble. So that's all I have for you guys. There's not much to talk about other than what I already said. So yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed this quick review. And have a good one. I'll see you in the next one.